Hi, in this video, I'd like to show you how I go about talking to a text and close reading poetry. As you can see, I'm using the app called Scribble with 1B. It's my favorite online annotation tool. It's fantastic, it's free, and it just works as a Chrome extension, or you could log into it. Once you annotate something, it stays in your library. It's stored there, and you can create files to store your things. One of my favorite features is that it allows you to annotate and highlight web pages too. Okay, so here we go. A story about the body. So first I'm going to give it one read through to get a sense of what the poem is all about, and then I'll come back and start annotating. The young composer, working that summer at an artist's colony, had watched her for a week. She was Japanese, a painter, almost 60, and he thought he was in love with her. He loved her work, and her work was like the way she moved her body, used her hands, looked at him directly when she mused and considered answers to his questions. One night, walking back from a concert, they came to her door, and she turned to him and said, "I think you would like to have me." "I would like that too, but I must tell you that I have had a double mastectomy." And when he didn't understand, "I've lost both my breasts." The radiance that he had carried around in his belly and chest cavity, like music, withered quickly, and he made himself look at her when he said, "I'm sorry, I don't think I could." He walked back to his own cabin through the pines, and in the morning he found a small blue bowl on the porch outside his door. It looked to be full of rose petals, but he found when he picked it up that the rose petals were on top. The rest of the bowl, she must have swept from the corners of her studio, was full of dead bees. Whew! All right, I need to take a deep breath after this poem. So now I have a sense of what it is. Okay, this young man is attracted to this woman. He has the opportunity to have sex with her, and he passes on it because she tells him that she does not have breasts. She's had a double mastectomy, and so he leaves, and she leaves him a nice little gift of dead bees. Okay, that's the sense of it. All right, so now to get into close reading, I have to start paying attention to words, phrases, not just literal meanings, but I'm also looking like, can this represent something else? Connotation, which is like the cultural definition of a word in this context. So I'm going to highlight in green. Let's see. Well, I think it's interesting that we're told he's young. So I would underline that, and I would say, how young? 20s? 30s? The interesting thing is that we are told exactly how old she is. She's almost 60, but when it comes to him, it just says young. So her age matters. His specific age, I guess, doesn't really matter, just that he's young or younger than 60. All right, so we're told that he's younger. I think I'm going to add to this annotation because I think of the word young. What does it imply? What's the connotation when someone says, "Oh, he's just a young guy, he's a young man"? It could also mean naive, immature, lacking experience. Okay. Now I'm going to look at where they are when the artist Robert Haas, the poem here, the poet has told us it's summer. So when I think of summer, I'm going to make an annotation that summer is like a relaxing time. Everything is in full bloom. I think of vacation. I think of getaways. It's like not in the usual, routine and grind. That's what I think anyway. All right. They're at an artist colony. So an artist colony is like a retreat, like a camp that artists go to hone their craft, to work on their art, just to get away from home and the routine of things. So again, it's summertime and they're away. So away from the norm of day-to-day reality. Okay, focused on their art and meeting people. Okay, so it says watched her for a week. Okay, it doesn't say he got to know her. It says he had watched her, which most of my students say that sounds kind of creepy, like a stalker. But I mean, you can choose to think of it that way, or you can choose to say, well, I mean, he has a crush on her. He thinks she's sexy, so he's been watching her. But I mean, it doesn't say that he got to know her or that he had been talking to her. It says he watched her. Watched? Oh, let's see. Watched her implies it's a one-way interest, I guess. Stalker vibes. Something stalker-ish. I mean, I don't know. I'm not so hard on him because I think, well, everybody has had a crush here and there, and you like to look at the person you have a crush on, and then they look in your direction and you could like quickly turn away or something if you're nervous. So I don't know. So I'll put that as a question. Is it stalkerish? Watched her implies it's one way. And also it's been like 1 week is not a long time, right? I mean, it's just 7 days. So it's really not a long time. And the reason I point this out, and I'm going to make a note of it, that it's important, is because it says he thought he was in love with her. Wow. I mean, can you really be in love with someone in under a week? I don't know. In 1 week, he thought he was in love. So, I mean, you could be infatuated with someone, you can be attracted to someone, but it's not necessarily love. And it does say he thought. It doesn't say he was, it says he thought. He thought is different than he was. So he thought he was, but he really wasn't. Okay. So I'm going to stop here because I think that gives you a sense of how slowly you have to go when you're doing a close reading. I mean, you're really stopping to look at what does this word mean? What does it imply? What is the relationship between this phrase or word and this phrase or word, right? Like there's a relationship here between saying young, vague, and almost 60. Pretty specific. So that gives you a sense of how slowly you have to read and really stop and underline and look into each word. And on the side here, make comments and notes about what's coming to mind. There's no right or wrong. It's just you're writing down your first impressions and your thoughts. So that's how you go about talking to the text when you're doing poetry close reading. And I look forward to seeing how you practice your close reading with the poems. Thank you so much.